optical illusion. There are public and private schools that use both the French area of 81.78 square miles. The median age of the people living here is 43 years old. The cost of living in this city is 32.72% cheaper than NYC, meaning that things are pretty affordable. The $25,134 Canadian dollars. Additionally, the unemployment rate is relatively low, which is home to parks, beaches, restaurants, shops, and more. Unfortunately, this city does have a high crime. Most common religious group among residents is Protestants, although large segments of the population are either Catholic or have no religious affiliation, and smaller segments practice other faiths. 7. Quebec City. Quebec City, the capital of the Quebec province, is a city with over 545,000 residents. There are over 3,600,000 private houses in the city, and the population density is higher than that of the overall province. The cost of living index compared to New York's 100 is 67.64. Almost 95% of residents have grown up speaking French, although approximately 1/3 are bilingual with French and English. As with many other affordable areas in Canada, common occupation...
Canada, I do practice immigration law in Canada, and I help people worldwide how to apply for Canada immigration and how to face complex problems in any visa.
I just want to ask what is the exact amount of experience they are looking for if we just go for an immigration over there after like graduation and all?
Yeah.
And experience in the sense like on-field experience, the same experience what we study and all.
The short answer is that you need minimum 1 year experience after your education in whatever field that you have chosen. So for example, if you are an engineer, software engineer or hardware engineer, and you have experience in that line and you are claiming points on the basis of that experience. So you need minimum of 12 months experience to make the express entry. Minimum 12 months. Nothing less than 12 months. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but like there is a gap after graduation, there is a gap of almost like 2 years you can say. So I do have an experience of an year. So what is the remaining 1 year? Even for that I have remaining experience but not in field, like I just worked in a PPO and all.
Correct. So when you apply for express entry, they look at the experience in the past 10 years. So that means today is 2017. They will look at all the relevant applicable experience in the past 10 years. So from 2007 till 2017, if somebody has, and I'll take a practical example, if you are a software engineer and you have multiple levels of experience working in call center or doing sales or something else, and eventually you are working in software engineering, the primary occupation of software engineer is the one, if you have chosen to get points, that's where you will get points on. So you can ignore the rest of the experience. It doesn't matter whether you have gap or not. They will just give you points on whatever experience you have, that's all. So you can ignore the gap, they don't care. If you have 1 year experience, they will give you points for 1 year. If you have 2 years, they'll give you points for 2 and so forth. So they don't consider any gap. The gap and those things come in student visa, not in PR.
No, like my point is, will they consider the experience which is not related to my studies? Will they consider and give me the points?
No, you will not get the points. You have to choose one profession.
Yeah.
So if you are choosing software engineer, so you will get points on software engineer. If you're using call center, then you just get call center, you don't get. So you have to pick one primary occupation to claim points. I hope that's clear.
Yes.
Any questions? If you want to ask any questions, you are free to, anybody else? Have you applied for Canada before, or you are thinking about it, or how do you know? What do you know about Canada Express Entry?
Just thinking about it. Like initially just have studied something over on the internet and all.
Yeah.
So after graduating.
Yes.
Just looking forward for it too. I even heard that some rules and regulations have been changed just a month before, so even want a clarity on that.
Yes, so I can talk about those rules as well, and I can talk about the changes as well. Have you made an express entry profile? How about you, sir? Have you made express entry? How about you? And express entry, nothing? So what do you, I mean, how did you decide on Canada? I mean, are you going to Canada just for something purpose, or you want to leave Hyderabad and go somewhere else, or I mean, how did you pick Canada?
Better life, better prospects. Yes.
You can pass on the microphone to them.
It's just better life and better prospects.
Okay, better life and better prospects. Okay. Have you traveled to any country before?
I've been in UK for 6 years.
UK for 6 years. Life in UK is not good?
It was good, but I had some constraints to have to come back. So now things are a bit different.
Yes.
Feel like, just
correct. And did you work in UK, or do you have work experience?
I worked in UK.
As what?
As a shift manager.
Shift manager of what?
In Heathrow Airport. ICTS was the company.
Correct.
It was relevant to my field itself because I'm an MBA graduate. I did my graduation over there.
Correct.
And I started my job and I worked for nearly 3 years and I had to come back.
When you talk about shift manager, what are you doing in? I mean, you're providing customer service, or what exactly is shift manager?
It's a security company, aviation security company.
Security. So you're providing a security. You're a security manager, or what?
I used to control the whole shift. There used to become 70 odd guys and girls working under my supervision. That's how it is.
But what is your job description? I mean, what do you do on a daily basis? Are you an administrative manager or a general manager? What do you do?
Administrative, roles and responsibilities. Where I had controlled nearly around 12 to 13 locations where our people used to work for screening.
Yeah.
Screening of cargo.
One of the challenges here is that if you have to select an occupation for Canada, for somebody like you, so what will be your job title?
Well, after I came back to India, nearly around since 8 years, I've been working as the HR manager.
HR, after shift manager, you are HR manager.
No,
I'm not trying to joke here, but I'm just, so you have a qualifications in HR, like
exactly.
MBA or something?
MBA.
Yeah, so that's fine. So everything is clear for you, that's fine. How about anybody else? How about you, sir? Can you pass the mic to? Are you getting enough lighting here?
Yeah, that's
Do you have lighting here? Maybe you can stop the thing and ask some. For example, right now I'm 50 years old. If I'm living in India and if I want to apply, even they will reject me. So Canada wants people who are around 30 years old, 35. That is the max. I mean, you get the maximum bulk of the points under the age category when you are 29 years old. So there's no age limit, but the preference is towards people who are younger than people who are older. So I hope that answers the question.
Is that a negative thing for me?
Well, there's no negative. I mean, negative in the sense, I mean, if you lose out on points on age, you will get points on experience. Okay. And I'm sure you will have maybe more education. You will have, what brings you here?
I want to apply for MS, so I have no knowledge about the Canada, so I'm here to get some idea of how to apply and what's the process like.
You are a student?
Yeah, I'm a student. I was even working as a project manager. I'm from civil field. So
how old are you?
26.
26. So you want to do a MS in what? Engineering?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm from civil, so it might be construction management or structural.
Yeah. So for student visa, the path is very clear. You have to select a university and a course, and then you apply to them online. And once you get the admission, then you fill up the forms and apply for study visa. Either you can apply, there must be a Canadian embassy in Hyderabad or no? The VFS, the submission. So all you have to do is fill up your forms and submit to them, and then that's it. There's not much of a brain surgery complications in study visa. It's simple on admission and then the visa. That's it. So we were looking at the second. Is this? Can you check whether it's working? So that's what it is. And once you get the visa, you'll get the visa for 2 years plus 90 days. And
is it possible in 2 months? I heard that September is the intake. So
yeah, it's tight. It's too late. It's too late for September. I think you must be better off, yes, in January. Most programs in America and Canada, most, not all, most programs which are on mainstream programs in big universities, reputed Ivy League universities, they tend to start their program in September. Like Howard, Stanford, Toronto, Vancouver University, they tend to, last week of August, students start arriving in Canada. That means they must already have the visa in June or July of that year at the least. That means they must have started applying to admissions about 6 to 8 months prior to that. So give or take, you need, is this working? Oh yes. Give or take, you need about 6 to 8 months window of applying process to get to the September level. So right now, this is July 2nd, and you're too late for this, Today is July 2nd. Many Indian students and other international students all over the world who come to Canada, they're typically about 275,000 or 300,000 students all over the world go to Canada to study. And they must be booking the tickets and coming to Canada now in this month, in July, and maybe into August. So for this session, you're a little too late.
So, what about
Microphone, please.
what about IELTS? How much of score do we need?
For immigration, you need the highest possible, anything what you can get. Have you taken the score?
what is the minimum score?
Yeah, so you need the maximum possible because that will constitute your points.
So what is the minimum one?
6 each.
6 each.
Yes. Yeah. See, and I can show you where it's because anything which I say, I'm not saying just because I think that is. I will show you what the government says. All right, and that's how you can see. So you need minimum 6 each. You can see on the screen. And there are more bonus points for French people, because in Canada we speak French. And if you look at here, so it actually starts with 6. There's no points lower than 6. So if you have any score lower than 6, like 5.5 or something, that means you are not eligible. Forget about it. You cannot apply. You have to study again and apply again and then get the same. Because Canada places great premium on language skills. If you do not have the language proficiency in French or English, then Canada is not interested in you. Simple and fast.
Is that only language test or is it PT also?
No, we don't like PT. PT is in Australia or somewhere else. I don't know. We don't have PT. We don't even have TOEFL. We don't like American test. We only take British test. This is IELTS. It's the British Cambridge University test. So we don't believe in TOEFL. We don't believe in PTE. We don't believe in Europe test or something. We just have confidence in IELTS. And everybody has to take this test. Right now you are applying from India. Even if somebody is applying from Europe or I have a lot of clients who are applying even from America. Even Americans want to come and live in Canada. And once they are applying, even Americans have to take this test. Just because they are Americans, I cannot tell them, look, because you know English, you should not take the test. Even Americans have to take this test and show the Canadian government what is their test level. So this test has no exception. Some years ago, 10 years, when I went to Canada first, I have been living in Canada for 10 years now. When I was applying in 2006, at that time, this was not compulsory. It was not mandatory. So on a case-by-case basis, the visa officers could make a decision on how to evaluate the English level. And after they discovered a lot of discretionary, decision-making on English, and a lot of ambivalence on how to really judge somebody's English level, it became very difficult. So they came up with a system. They say, okay, forget about We are not making a human assessment here. We will let the test score speak for itself. So the test score is the final determinative evidence that this is your English level, and that's how IELTS came into being used.
After the IELTS, what kind of documentation we need to submit for the WS validation? Like
yes. So we are delving greatly into deeper discussion on this. I was hoping that people will come in and these short questions will become long questions, but I do not know whether we want to wait for that long, but I'll try to. I have answers to all your questions. I have no problem in answering them. Express entry requires 3 essential things. One is everybody should take a language test like IELTS or French. So without a language test, nothing is possible. All right. So that's the number 1 requirement. The number 2 requirement is all your degrees, diplomas must be assessed by an agency in Canada. So that is called Education Credential Assessment, and I will show you on the screen as well. Let's see if I can find it. So that is the second. That is the second requirement we need to. This is called Education Credential Assessment. The third is you must have experience certificates in your hand. Sometimes people in India will tell me, look, I don't want to tell my general manager, or I don't want to tell my HR manager because they will fire me because I'm working in TCS. If I tell TCS I want to go to Canada, they will lay off, thing. How do I prove it or something? Canadian government does not care on how you produce those documents. They need proof that you actually were working in that company or somewhere, because you are asking for points. To give you the points, they have to determine in realistic fashion that you actually did work. There was a lot of fraud earlier where a lot of people would say, you can go to any company, to your neighbor, and say Gupta and Company and Sharma and Company that I was working as a GM in a small Kirana store, the convenience store, and you can say I'm a GM, give me points for GM. No. Okay, you have to have proper employment contract, you have to have proper job description, you have to have proper evidence so that you can stake your claim in the points. That is why these 3 things are mandatory and essential to any express entry. Again, one more time: language score, IELTS, education credential assessment, and third is your experience. These are the documents that you need to have in advance before you even touch any application for express entry. I hope that answers your question.
I have a question.
Take the microphone, please.
Actually, I worked on site for about 6 months.
You work where?
I worked on site in Oregon, actually, in United States.
You worked in Oregon for 6 months?
For 6 months.
Okay.
As a contractor.
Okay. On a H-1B visa?
No. It was on OPT, actually.
Okay. After becoming a student.
Yes.
What did you study in US?
In US, I have completed my MBA in marketing. Actually.
From what university?
It was a private business school in San Francisco, California.
Give me the name.
HULT International Business School.
Hart?
HULT International.
H-U-L-T?
Yes.
I've never heard of this.
It's a private business school.
It's a private, okay. So you did an MBA for 1 year, 2 year?
It's a 1 year program.
It's a 1 year program. And then you worked for 6 months in Oregon, in
Oregon, yeah.
As what?
As a contractor. So my job title was SAP functional tester.
Okay.
So I worked there for about 6 months.
Okay.
As a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So I did.
I have to interrupt you 1 second. When you say SAP functional tester, how do I define the job title? Is this a software? Is a QA, quality assurance, or software? What? It's not engineer, or what is it?
Yeah, it's quality assurance. Actually.
Quality. I don't think we can find. Let me see. Quality assurance.
So
which one?
IT system.
No. Can you see on the screen anything that matches? Is this information system analyst consultant number 3?
Yeah, number 3.
Is that? Are you sure?
Yeah, number 3.
Okay, and then you worked as 6 months in this capacity. Take a look at the
Description.
Take a look at the description. Read the first statement. What are you doing the first statement? Can you read the job description? Can you see the description here?
Yeah, information system analyst and consultants analyze system requirements, development.
What are you doing? What are you doing all of this in your job?
Actually, my tasks were I need to monitor all the jobs actually. So there were background jobs which were run on various servers.
Okay.
I need to make sure that all those jobs are working, and if any job fails, then I have to fix it myself, or else I have to